Welcome back to Nevada Realtors Today, your place for timely updates on the news and trends that matter to realtors in the Silver State. Featuring your host, 2026 President Sarah Scatini and CEO Tiffany Banks of Nevada Realtors. Now let's jump into today's episode of Nevada Realtors Today.
Storytelling is the ultimate, I think, the most powerful way to convey value. Okay. And when and why I say that is because your story is one of one, right? It's authentic to you. And when you can sit down and take time to just look at your journey, reflect back on it, and pull from your life experiences, there's connections that you can use those, right? I look at it as like imagine having like an empty bookshelf and you just filling that bookshelf with different stories from your lived experiences. When you can take time to categorize and have those stories there, then you know when to use them, right? It's like if you play golf, it's having knowing your stories is then knowing that if you're, for me, 150 yards away, cool, I'm gonna pull out a 9 iron, right? And knowing what club you can use. And especially now when value is something that's super important to the real estate agent and conveying it, I think it's very unique and an important way to convey that in storytelling. There was this post that went viral that was like here's the 315 things that real estate agents do in a transaction, right? And it's like set up a search, show homes, blah blah. That's not value. That's what comes with the transaction. That's what comes with working with the realtor. You have to show property. You have to set up a search, right? You have to schedule showings. You have to negotiate. That's not value. If that's value, we're in trouble because everyone can do that, right? And AI can do some of that stuff now. The value is once again what's unique to your journey and how you can use storytelling and how I would empower the audience to do so is let me ask Tiffany, what's your favorite food to eat?
Pizza.
Okay. Ask me what my favorite food is.
Thin crust, not deep dish.
Okay.
New York style. Okay.
Okay. I love that you just dig the Chicago in me.
Oh,
Ask me what my favorite food is.
okay. I actually am kind of worried about the answer I'm gonna get, but okay, what's your favorite food?
I love that you asked me that question, Tiffany. When I was a kid, I was first generation in this country. My family, they immigrated here from South Korea in the late 70s to Chicago. My grandfather was the one who watched me, especially during the summers when there was no school, because my parents had like four different jobs trying to make ends meet. And every day we'd watch Days of Our Lives together. That's how both of us learned how to speak English. And then at 11 o'clock, when it was over, my grandpa would turn the TV off and he would look at me. He goes, "What do you want for lunch?" And 99.9% of the times it was something Korean, right? Because that's what we had in the kitchen, the pantry. That's all my grandfather knew how to cook. One day I looked at him after he asked me this question and I said, "A cheeseburger." And I remember my grandpa turned back on the TV and he said, "Don't move." And he left the house. And I don't know, maybe 15 minutes later, he came back with this big styrofoam box and in it was a cheeseburger and french fries. And I remember as a kid being like, wow, that was freaking cool. I asked for this and I got it. Later on, as I grew older, I always reflect on that moment and I thought about the courage it took. My grandpa didn't know how to speak English. He didn't know how the US currency worked. But because his grandchild asked for a cheeseburger, he put himself in an uncomfortable situation to get it done. And I think about the person who took the order who realized, okay, this guy doesn't know how to speak English. He doesn't know how to pay, but I'm going to work with him. And we're going to figure out this solution so he gets what he wants. Right. I think about how much courage it took from both sides to make that happen. And that's why cheeseburger is my favorite food. Now, Brandon, who do you think you're going to remember? Whose favorite food you'll remember over time?
Definitely
Oh,
yours.
Right.
yeah, I'll definitely remember yours, but I'll remember Tiffany's because I like pizza too.
See, but now imagine conveying
Mhm.
that, right? And not the cheeseburger story, but my favorite thing is when I'm at sitting at someone's dining room table, right? And we're talking about listing their home. And at the end they ask, like, well, Tommy, why should I work with you? What makes you different? I could say, oh, because I'll work hard and I'll answer every email and I'm going to get it sold for a lot of money. I'll do it quick. That's what everyone will do, right? That's not my value. That's not differentiating myself. When I can tell my story, and when I have that, I know which book I need to pull out, which club I need to pull out the bag to play in that situation. That makes a one-on-one, and when they're interviewing 2 other people, I'm going to be memorable and I'm gonna stand out, and it gives me a better shot at it. That's why storytelling is so important, and honestly, social media and content marketing, as a strategy, I think is such a great way to amplify your personal brand in storytelling, sharing those unique stories about yourself, and also it's like going to the gym. It gives you that practice to do that, put yourself out there. And it's great because even what's wild about the journey is some of the content that I put out there that's more, I guess, considered like B2B because I'm talking to real estate agents. I get so many consumers reaching out to me about listing their homes. And when I ask, like, oh, how did you find out about me? Did was someone refer, whatever? Literally, I've had like 3 or 4 different times where they said, "Actually, the realtor that helped me buy this place, I noticed, commented on one of your posts and said, 'Oh my
Hmm.
gosh, this is genius. Like, I gotta use this.'" I said, "Why am I working with this person? I wanted to work with the person that they think is a genius." And so even the the agent to agent content, it really attracts more desirability to you from a consumer standpoint. So I always tell people like, don't hold back, and that's the thing. A lot of times, what people are held back from putting out that kind of content is they feel like they have trade secrets that are like proprietary 101. There's nothing that is unique or one-on-one, right?
Or
We've
what if
all
they don't want to
done.
post too much though? Because like they'll be like, I don't want to put myself out there and be rejected. The fear of like nobody will comment or like. Would you just say just start posting? I
Well,
mean,
that I would say it's an arrogant way to think because you're assuming that everyone is going to consume and watch your content. And I'm
mm,
telling you, no one is going to watch your content at the beginning, and that's part of it. And
okay.
sometimes when you have like 100 or 200 people viewing it, and people
Mhm.
are like all poo-pooing that, I'm like, would you be mad if you stepped on stage and there was 100, 200 people in the audience you're talking to? And they'd be like, no. I'm like, it's the same thing. Like,
Right.
this idea of virality and people going viral and whatnot, I feel like has made people jaded about, you know, uh, how many people are viewing and liking, commenting. If one person liked and commented, then great. Like
Yeah.
that's a huge win in my book.
Because you never know if that one person who they're going to introduce you to and what doors that could open.
Hmm.
And so you just say, and obviously don't just spew a bunch of stuff that's like not relevant. But if so would your advice be just start like engage, don't have, and also don't be perfect. Like don't worry about it looking a certain way. Just start putting yourself out there and showing up
Yes.
as who you are.
Put yourself out there. And what I would say is here's a pro tip and a hack. If you're like, what am I gonna say? Make content for the younger version of you. What would you make that would help day one Tiffany or day one Brandon in the real estate industry? And that'll start inspiring you. And what'll happen is sometimes you'll hit a little wall and you start to think like, this is so basic. Everyone knows what a property inspection is. No, you're wrong. The knowledge gap between you and the average consumer or a new agent is really wide. And the most basic stuff, that's the stuff that people love. That's stuff that people really engage with. So I'd say just make content for the younger version of you and just put yourself out there. Don't worry about if it's edited nicely and whatnot. You want to make sure there's captions. You want to make sure there's always trending music in the background.
Mhm.
But outside of that, just put yourself out there and you learn from it. The beauty in this is the more content you put out there, the more of a catalog you have to do your own research on yourself and say like, okay, this video really did well in engagement. Why did it? right? And you really dissect it. And then you can say, okay, cool. Now I know I'm just going to do something like this with a different topic, right? And then you can constantly get better and push yourself to really grow.